What's going on YouTube? This is KicksArt here to show you guys how to draw the Air Max 97 step by step. As usual, we're going to go ahead and start off by drawing two squares right next to each other. Afterward, we're going to divide those two squares into top and bottom halves. Next, I'm going to make a vertical line dividing that bottom right hand quadrant into halves, as well as that initial left box we made into halves. Afterward, I'm going to divide that whole bottom section into halves. This will give us all the guidelines we need to draw the rest of the shoe. As always, notice where I put my lines in relation to where the guidelines are. Especially with a shoe like this, you really want to make sure that you get your proportions right, especially for the upper. It's very easy to get the upper all congested with those different waves that it has. And as always, for the outsole, use that last horizontal line that we made as a good guideline. And especially with the outsole, just take your time working it out. We're not looking for perfection, we're just focused on placement at the moment. Now I'm going to go ahead and add that side panel where the swoosh is going to sit. And now I'm going to go ahead and start working on those waves on the top. Again, really make sure that you look at how this is working. Aside from the layer that's going to sit right where the sock liner is, we have the three lines that I made. And then in between that space where we have the layer of the sock liner and then those three lines, we're going to add one more ring of waves. If you refer to the end of the video when I put color, you're going to see how they all work in relation to each other. So it might seem a little congested, but after you do it and you see how it flows all together, you'll get a good hang for how it works. Next, I'm going to go through and add some details on the tongue, adding the laces as well. And then finally, I'm going to add some small details on the outsole, and you are pretty much done. Especially with this sneaker, the only thing I cared about in the beginning was making sure that the placement for everything was good. Obviously, I went over a few of these lines multiple times just to try to make sure everything was in the right spot, especially in the upper where we had those waves. You can see, especially towards the heel, it gets a little bit messy, but that's okay, because ultimately these pencil marks are just guidelines for me to go through after I have my Micron marker. When I go through with the marker, that's when I want to make sure that everything looks good. So it's okay if it's messy on that initial layer. That's why you have pencils. We can make these mistakes and it's going to go away. And if you look at my marks that I'm making right now, it's pretty true to the original sketch that we had. It just looks a lot cleaner. And I'm taking the better marks of the pencil marks that I've made. And what I mean by that is towards that heel. Look at all the marks that I didn't go over, because on some of those waves I kind of curve it in a little bit too much. So then I'll go and I readjust it. I'm only keeping the marks that make the most sense. So if you're using marker, and I'm using a Micron marker, you can use like a ultrafine Sharpie marker. That works just fine. That's what I used in a lot of my earlier drawings when I was doing just sneaker drawings on Instagram. I'll have the link to that in the description as well as on the screen. Just understand that the only thing you got to really worry about is making sure everything's in the right spot, which is the whole purpose of using your pencil, to making sure that everything works. If it doesn't work, adjust, keep working those lines, making sure it looks good. And then when you finally go through with your marker to start outlining everything, that's when you want to keep all the lines that make the most sense. So let's say we have the Nike swoosh there, for example. If I would have went over that swoosh 6 or 7 times because at first it was too fat or then it's too skinny, you know which lines make the most sense, right? You don't want to have to keep erasing it every time you make a mistake. Otherwise, you would just be spending forever working on the initial sketch. Alright, so don't worry about erasing too much in the beginning. Just keep going over everything until it looks good. The main thing I want to really hone is, it's not about how it looks at first, it's about how it looks at the end. It's not going to look good at first. None of my drawings, in my opinion, look good at first, especially at the sketching stage, right? So when I'm just going through a pencil, it's proportionally correct, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't even look good to me when I go through and I outline it. It's not until I add color and I give it some extra depth, some life, that it really looks like a sneaker, right? It really has that sneaker feel. And now when I go through with the Sharpie, I'm starting to work on the upper. You can see how this all kind of works together. Like you can see now, adding color really changes a lot. In the beginning stages, that upper looked a little bit messy. It made sense, but it was messy. But when you go and you add color to it, a lot of the upper starts to make sense. Now, as always, if you would like to see me draw one of your favorite sneakers, leave a comment down below. I recommend that you pick a sneaker that I have not made a stencil for on the site yet, so that way you not only get a sneaker that you'd want to see, but you also get the stencil available for it. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this content, leave a like. Let me know what sneaker you'd like to see me draw tomorrow down in the description below. I will be picking tomorrow's video based off the comments from this video. Thank you so much for watching guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.